All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. And as we are steamrolling towards the start of a new college football season, and I told you I'm going to be talking about a conference by conference breakdown for the upcoming season. Right now, it's all about the Mountain West. And of course, unfortunately, this is going to be the last season for this edition of the Mountain West as Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, and Utah State and Colorado State are all poised to leave the Mountain West for the new edition of the Pac-12. And of course, things are changing for the Mountain West as well. They're bringing in the likes of UTEP after this season. Hawaii's going to be a full-time member. UC Davis, Grand Canyon for basketball, and then Northern Illinois as a football-only member. But of those five departing schools, okay, we're talking about a lot of lineage here because we're talking about Boise State with five championships, Fresno with three, as far as the Mountain West championship game goes. San Diego State won a pair, and Utah State won a pair. So basically, all of the five schools that are leaving the Mountain West for the Pac-12, Colorado State is the only one that has not won the Mountain West championship game. Nonetheless, I want to start by talking about Boise because not only have they won five Mountain West championship games, also they've won the last two, and they're looking to make it three straight on their way out of the door. So, how do they do it, you ask? First and foremost, you can't go out there if you're Boise and say we could just simply replace what we saw from Ashton Genty last year. No, I mean, they still have themselves a talented running back in Siri Gaines. Siri Gaines is not Ashton Genty, and that is not a slight to that young man. I think Siri Gaines has to go out there and play his game to the best of his ability and not try to be Ashton Genty. And I think he's going to be okay. You have a veteran quarterback in Maddux Madsen for this offense. Tight end Matt Lauder, in my opinion, is the best at his position in the Mountain West. And you've got a lot of experience on this offensive line for the Broncos. Now, defensively for Boise State, you've got defensive end Jaden Vergen Morgan, as well as linebacker Marco Notoriini. And in the case of Jaden Vergen Morgan, I think he has the potential to be one of the top defensive players in the Mountain West. Now, Spencer Danielson is the right guy for this Boise program as far as being the head coach. He has righted that ship, and Boise is going to once again be in the mix to win the Mountain West. For me, a lot of people that follow Boise, they've already circled the game on October 4th, where the Broncos travel to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. Remember, these were two playoff teams from last season, and two other games that I have circled on this calendar for the Broncos. On the 18th of October, they get UNLV, and of course, the Rebels are the team that Boise has denied the Mountain West Championship in each of the last 2 years. And then Colorado State on the 22nd of November in a game that can go very long and very far in determining who wins this league. And speaking of the Colorado State Rams and their head coach, Jay Norvell, he has built them into a contender in the Mountain West because in 2022, which was Jay Norvell's first year at Colorado State, the Rams lost 9 games. And last year, they were on the cusp of getting to the Mountain West Championship game. Remember, they finished tied with UNLV for second place, but UNLV got the tiebreaker over them. Now, of course, if you're Colorado State, you want to try to win this championship on your way out the door and possibly get a college football playoff bid. You've got quarterback Braden Fowler Nicolosi. You've got running back Justin Marshall. Losing the likes of Gabe Kursky and Bohm Jack on this defense will hurt. But Jay Norvell is going to have this team ready to play. For me, I look at the month of November For Colorado State, it's going to be very telling. They get UNLV at home on the 8th. They're at Boise on the 22nd of November, and then they finish up with Air Force on the 29th. And I don't think a lot is being made about that game because you think about it, this is a big rivalry for the Mountain West when you're talking about Colorado State and Air Force. And surprisingly, this year, for the Rams, no Colorado Buffaloes on the slate. Moving right down the list, you've got San Jose State under the guidance of former Navy head coach Ken Niamatu Malolo. And it's one of those right there. Let's see if the Spartans can find a way to break through and be one of those top tier teams in the Mountain West this year. Experience on the offensive line. Senior middle linebacker Jackson Pollard is going to be in that mix to be the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. I like senior free safety Isaiah Rivas as well as running back Floyd Chalk the fourth. I'll tell you like this: San Jose State is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Mountain West this year, in my opinion. Now, you look at UNLV, and things have changed very quickly for the Rebels. And of course, the only thing, like I said before, the only thing that has prevented UNLV from winning the Mountain West the last couple of years has been Boise State because they can't beat them in the conference championship game, whether it's in Vegas or on the Smurf turf, and they can't beat them in the regular season either. So let's see if things are going to be different this year for UNLV. We know things are going to be different from the standpoint of the coaching. Barry Odom was building something at UNLV, and he left for the bigger money in the Big Ten at Purdue. So in steps the well-traveled Dan Mullen, who has had success as a head coach at both Mississippi State and Florida. Now he's looking to do the same at UNLV, of course, this time outside of the SEC. You bring in former Michigan quarterback Alex Orji, and Alex Orji is not a thrower of the football. He's a big physical guy. He's going to throw it periodically, but he's going to run the football down your throat. And I think this offense, this system, I really think fits the skill set of an Alex Orji. There's plenty of experience up front for the Rebels on this offensive line. You also bring back running back Jaden Thomas. You got some talent defensively with the likes of linebacker Marcel McDuffie. And I think it's going to be a pretty smooth transition for UNLV from Barry Odom to Dan Mullen. And it's going to be very interesting over the second half of the slate. For the Rebels on the 18th of October, they're at Boise State. And then on the 8th of November, they're at Colorado State. Two games that could go a very long way in determining who wins the Mountain West. Now, for Utah State, and there's been a lot of head coaching shifting in the Mountain West heading into the new season. They've got themselves a new guy in Bronco Mendenhall. And of course, Bronco Mendenhall is very familiar to college football and, of course, the Mountain West. Why? Because for 11 years, he enjoyed tremendous success as the head coach at BYU, whether BYU is in the Mountain West or whether they were an independent. And to this day, only Lavelle Edwards has won more games at BYU as their football coach than Bronco Mendenhall. Now, after stints at both Virginia and New Mexico, Mendenhall is not returning to BYU, of course, and of course, BYU is no longer the Mountain West, but he is returning to the state that he had the most success in as a head football coach, this time as he's looking to make Utah State a contender in the Mountain West. It's going to take a little bit of time, but Bronco Mendenhall is going to get the ship righted for the Aggies. First things first, he's got to fix the defense that was 130th in the nation. For me, you look at Utah State this year, of course, they're among that group of five that's leaving the Mountain West for the Pac 12. One game that I guarantee you a lot of folks have circled October 25th, Utah State at New Mexico. Bronco Mendenhall's return to Albuquerque after he left to go to Logan. Now, for Hawaii and Timmy Chang, they've won 5 games in each of the last 2 years. Let's see if the Rainbow Warriors can break through and finish with a winning record for the first time since 2020, and of course, get to a bowl game. Now, you know that Hawaii is going to pass the football and pass the football well under Timmy Chang. They've got to find a way to run the football better. They were 125th in the nation in that category. A lot of seniors starting defensively For Hawaii, let's see if that experience is able to get them over the top and get them to a bowl game. Now, for Air Force, they went 5-7 last year. Their triple option was not as effective. Their offense, period, was not as effective as the Falcons were held to 20 points or less in half of their games last year, and overall they were 124th in the nation on offense. For Troy Calhoun and his bunch, they've got to get back to taking care of their business, and it's all about that triple option attack, and it's all about dictating things at the line of scrimmage. Will Air Force have more success this season? We've got to wait and see. For New Mexico, of course, it's life without Bronco Mendenhall as your head coach. You've turned to former Iowa head coach, Idaho head coach, Jason Eck, and he had success at the FBS level. Okay. He went 26-13 with the Vandals, which included going 18-6 in the Big Sky Conference. It's going to take a little bit of time for Eck to get things going for New Mexico, but I think he is the right man for this job. Fresno State is one of those schools that is set to leave the Pac for the Pac-12 as they're transitioning from the Mountain West to that new league. They're also finding themselves another head coach, and it's been an all but too familiar theme for the Bulldogs as we're talking about their third different head coach in as many years. Now it's Matt Entz, former North Dakota State head coach, who had success at the FCS level, going 60-11 in 5 years there. Speaking of transition and change, EJ Warner looks like he's going to be the starting quarterback for Fresno State this year. His third stop on his college football journey. Previously played at both Temple and Rice, and if the last name sounds familiar, EJ Warner is the son of Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner. A lot of experience on the offensive line for Fresno State. Defensively, they've got to replace their top three tacklers from last season. Like I said before, it's a transition year for Fresno State in more ways than one as they're set to leave the Mountain West for the Pac-12. And speaking of schools that are set to leave the Mountain West, we're talking about San Diego State, who for years after being one of the dominant teams in this league has really fallen on hard times. The Aztecs have lost a combined 17 games over the last 2 years. Sean Lewis is set to begin his second year as the head coach at San Diego State. The Aztecs finished last season on a 6-game losing streak. They've got to find a way to get that bad taste out of their mouths. What are they going to do defensively? I like defensive end. Trey White has the potential to be the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. You got strong safety Delasan Staley, as well as middle linebacker Tano Latuli. Some guys to keep an eye out on that side of the ball for San Diego State. Now, for Wyoming, a 3-9 campaign in 2024, there's really only one way for you to go, and that's up. But first and foremost, for the Cowboys to do that, they've got to find a way to improve an offense that was 119th in the nation. And then finally, there's the Wolfpack of Nevada, who have really seen their struggles as of late. They've only won 2 conference games over the last 2 years, and this program has not been right since they basically allowed Jay Norvell to walk out the door for a bigger paycheck with Colorado State. You got some seniors, 6 seniors expected to start this season on Nevada. That hopefully could potentially be a building block for them. But nonetheless, I think that the Wolfpack are once again going to be looking up at the rest of the pack, no pun intended, in this league. When it's all said and done, I think the big players to keep an eye out for in the Mountain West as far as the championship goes, I think Boise State is once again going to be in that mix. Spencer Danielson has really established a program for the Broncos. And when you've established a program, it really puts you in an upper echelon, if you will, for the league that you play in. And Boise State has been one of the stronger college football programs over the last 20 years. To me, I think they're the Gonzaga of the college football world, a smaller program that has really made a name for itself on the national stage. And Boise has been sending players to the NFL, which of course definitely helps your footprint as far as things go. And the Broncos look like they're once again going to be the real deal. Jay Norvell has built something at Colorado State. I think that the Rams are going to be in that conversation. I like San Jose State to be a sleeper as far as possibly winning the Mountain West this year. I think the Rebels of UNLV are going to be in that mix under head coach Dan Mullen. Like I said before, I truly think it's going to be a smooth transition as I like Dan Mullen taking over in Vegas. But this time around, I think the Mountain West Championship game is going to be Boise State getting there for the fourth consecutive year. And this time around, I like Colorado State to get to the Mountain West Championship game. But when it's all said and done, you've got to find a way to knock off the champs. I still think going into this college football season that the Broncos are the best team in the Mountain West. I think they will play like that all season long. And I think when it's all said and done, I think Boise makes it a three-peat on their way out the door. And of course, if you're the Mountain West, at least if my predictions and projections hold serve, you definitely wouldn't be happy to have your conference championship game featuring a pair of schools that are leaving for the Pac 12. But that is the way I see it breaking down, with Boise going up against Colorado State. And like I said, Boise taking the bag. But that's going to wrap it up, folks. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always tell you, and forgive me if I sound like a broken record, but it's greatly appreciated. Also, as this college football preview breakdown continues, leading up to the start of a new college football season, tomorrow I'll be talking all things about the upcoming season for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. That also goes for Instagram, where you could check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, you could check us out at Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating groups going around social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.